On August 16, 1932, British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald announced a new constitutional framework for India, known as the Communal Award. For the first time, this framework legally categorized the depressed classes as a distinct minority, severing them from the Hindu majority they had historically been grouped with. The award carved out 71 guaranteed seats in the provincial assemblies, specifically for depressed class candidates, locking this provision into law for 25 years. But the mechanism attached to those seats was the true flashpoint. The British mandated a separate electorate to fill them. By structurally and constitutionally severing the depressed classes from the broader Hindu voting base, the Communal Award triggered an immediate national crisis. From his jail cell, Mahatma Gandhi categorically rejected this legal separation.
To force a withdrawal of the provision, Gandhi initiated a fast unto death, beginning on September 20, 1932, isolated within the walls of Yerwada Central Prison. Gandhi argued that a separate electorate would permanently divide Hindu society, preventing social integration and fracturing the movement for national independence. On the opposing side of this deadlock stood Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He defended the absolute necessity of these independent voting rights to protect the depressed classes against systemic oppression, even as time rapidly ticked away on Gandhi's failing body. Neither leader could simply surrender their position. Saving Gandhi's life while preserving Ambedkar's demand for political protection would require engineering a completely unproven constitutional compromise. By late September, political panic set in across India as Gandhi's vital signs deteriorated day by day. Top national leaders rushed to Yerwada to broker a survival pact. Chief among them was Pandit Madan Malviya, seen here conferring directly with Gandhi. He was joined at the negotiating table by other heavyweights, including Sir Tej Bahadur Sapru and C. Rajagopalachari, managing the tense back-and-forth correspondence with Ambedkar. The mediators demanded a stark concession. Ambedkar had to completely surrender the separate electorate the British had just granted him. Ambedkar agreed to yield the separation, but he extracted a strict price in return, a massive, guaranteed increase in absolute political representation. Look at this breakdown. The number of reserved seats for depressed classes more than doubled. It jumped from 71 to 148 across the provincial assemblies, with dense allocations like 30 seats in Madras and 30 in Bengal. He also secured a 19% reservation in the central legislature. Ambedkar won a clear numerical victory. But deciding how those 148 seats would actually be filled required reinventing the mechanical structure of the vote to satisfy Gandhi. To understand what they build, we have to clarify two concepts. A constituency is simply the geographic boundary of an area. An electorate refers specifically to the eligible voters living inside it. In a separate electorate, like the one originally offered by the Communal Award, the voting base is isolated by identity. Inside a constituency, only voters from that specific minority community are allowed to cast a ballot for the reserved seat. Because the rest of the population is locked out of the process, the elected candidate answers exclusively to their minority voting base, independent of the majority's influence. The Poona pact replaced this with a joint electorate with reserved seats. The seat itself remains designated for a depressed class candidate, but now all eligible voters in the constituency cast a ballot, regardless of their background. Mathematically, this forces a minority candidate to campaign for and win the support of the majority population to secure the seat. This was exactly what Ambedkar feared. He argued that in a joint electorate, the Hindu majority could simply pool their votes to elect a compliant puppet candidate who wouldn't fight for minority interests. Gandhi, conversely, feared that separate electorates would build permanent legal walls between communities, tearing the nation into warring factions. Since a pure separate electorate destroyed integration, and a standard joint electorate risked destroying authentic representation, a standard democratic model was insufficient. The solution negotiated at Yerwada was a customized two-stage electoral filter designed to lock in the demands of both men simultaneously. Stage 1 was a primary election that utilized a separate electorate. In this phase, only the depressed class voters within the constituency cast a ballot. Their exclusive votes were tallied to select exactly 4 candidates to advance to the next round. This first hurdle satisfied Ambedkar.
It guaranteed that any candidate moving forward had already been vetted and chosen by the depressed classes themselves. Then came Stage 2, the secondary election. Here, the system switched to a joint electorate. The entire constituency, including all majority voters, approached the ballot box. This unified voter base selected just one final winner, but they could only choose from the panel of 4 candidates provided by the primary election. This satisfied Gandhi's requirement for unity. Because the final representative was elected by everyone, they held a clear mandate from the entire constituency. This architecture carried one final constraint. These reserved seats would expire after 10 years, unless terminated earlier by mutual agreement, a significant reduction from the British timeline. This 2-tier mechanism solved the Yerwada deadlock. It protected minority agency at the grassroots, while legally preserving a united society at the final ballot. The agreement moved quickly into law. On the Indian side, it was formally ratified by the Hindu Mahasabha, securing majority consent. Crucially, the British colonial government accepted the terms, officially overriding and amending their own communal award. With the constitutional threat neutralized, Gandhi drank a glass of orange juice and broke his fast, bringing the immediate crisis to a close. But the experience at Yerwada triggered a pivot in Gandhi's strategy. Following the pact, he stepped away from active politics to dedicate himself to social reform. Operating from his cell in 1932, he launched the All India Untouchability League, aiming to eradicate the systemic discrimination that made political reservations necessary. While Gandhi focused on social reform, Ambedkar's 148 secured seats initiated a permanent demographic shift inside the provincial assemblies, embedding depressed class representation into the nation's legislative math. The Poona pact served as the master blueprint for India's modern system of political reservation, proving that constitutional engineering could balance minority rights with national unity.